Hello everyone. Who is this lecture for? This lecture is for students who are either doing their graduation or have already completed their graduation and are now pondering upon thinking about appearing for examinations like SEBI. For students who have been preparing for civil services, not getting success there, and are now looking at plan B options. For students who are probably still in college or still in school, interested in finance, banking, or economics, and are looking at probable career options down the line. Various regulatory bodies in India like RBI, SEBI, NABARD, ADI, PFRDA, and various other financial regulatory bodies regularly hire people in their organizations. Out of these three major organizations, RBI, SEBI, and NABARD are considered to be at the top of regulatory bodies because what they do has a deep impact on the entire economic financial system of our country. You all must be aware about capital markets. SEBI is the organization which looks after, regulates, monitors, and makes sure that the capital markets are working in a sustainable manner. They're not heating up, there are no frauds going on, there is no insider trading, etc. etc. In this lecture, I want you to understand everything about this examination because it is one such examination that helps you put your foot into the door of high-walled organizations like SEBI, which normally don't hire people from outside or which normally don't like people looking at what they're doing or how they're doing it. This examination is one such opportunity through which you can get into these organizations, and then lifelong you get the opportunity to work with and for these organizations, and it's a beautiful experience. They like to take care of their people. They also offer you very good opportunities where you get to do deep, important, relevant work as well, and the political intervention is also minimal. Therefore, you get to have the kind of freedom that you need and you want in order to do what you want to do. So, for all those students, finance enthusiasts, or people who are moved by finance, moved by banking, moved by economics, and are looking at opportunities out there, and these organizations are very good organizations that you can look forward to. Okay. In this lecture, I'm going to be simplifying it and helping you understand everything there is a need to know for you to understand and to be able to take the examination, take the entire paper head on. Because if you don't know the basics about the exam, then there is no point in getting into the preparation without having that kind of clarity. Because then you're running around like a headless chicken from this post to that post. Every day you're witnessing some new problems, you're not aware about those answers, and you don't even know how to find those answers. And that makes your entire prep very confusing and very frustrating. So, what exactly are we going to be talking about in today's session? We will first of all have a look at the hierarchy of SEBI that will help you understand, okay, this is how I'm going to be promoted and this is the highest level that I can be in the next 25-30 years, depending upon my age. The average vacancies per year, very, very important, helps you understand the kind of opportunity you have. The exam cycle, very important, helps you understand when can the exam be held next. The levels of exam, this is the entire syllabus of the exam and helps you understand whether you have it in you to actually prepare and clear for this examination or not, whether you want to study these kind of subjects or not, whether or in how much time will you be able to read and study all these subjects. All of that will become clearer out here, number one, and then out here. I will be talking in detail about the syllabus around here. Okay. Average cutoff in fall phases, very, very important, helps you understand how much do I need to score, at what level do I need to be before the examination so that I'm certain that I will be clearing the examination. Okay. Eligibility, can you write the exam or not? What about your education? What about your age, etc., etc.? Whether you want to write this exam but you're not eligible, you're probably below 21, you're still very young, or you're above 30, you've wasted a lot of time in other random things, and now you're thinking about SEBI but you're not eligible. The difficulty level of the exam, this is going to be an interpretation based upon my experience on the past, over the past 6-7 years, whatever I have in teaching for SEBI exam. I will be very briefly talking about the difficulty level. The syllabus, the average salary and perks, and work profile. Work profile is something that I would want to discuss a little in detail, but average salary, I think you don't need to worry about it, but I will very briefly tell you about the average salary as well. Okay, let us begin. First of all, let me tell you about the hierarchy in SEBI. It is smaller than hierarchy in various other organizations like RBI. You are hired here as a grade A officer. Now, the post that has also come right now and that is expected next year as well is for a grade A officer in SEBI, okay, assistant manager. From here, you are promoted to grade B officer. The time span is not fixed, but it takes around 3 to 5 years, anywhere between 3 to 5 years. It's a mix of your performance as well as the time factor. Then grade C, grade D, grade E, and grade F. This is the last point for all the internal employees of SEBI. Executive director, and after that, the chairman. These two people, these two posts are filled by the government in SEBI. So the government appoints people in SEBI as executive directors and as chairman, but you can go from grade A to grade F. Now, the good thing here is all of these are officers, all of these are heavily paid, heavily respected people out there who also get to do good work. Grade A officer post is called as assistant manager. From grade A, when you go to B, it becomes manager. From B to C, it becomes assistant general manager, AGM. AGM, DGM, GM, and CGM. These four remain the same for both RBI and SEBI. In RBI also, you will see AGM, then DGM, then GM, and then CGM. Okay, the same exactly stays here. After that, uh, H is executive director. G is executive director, and H would be, then you have the chairman. Okay, whole time director and then the chairman. Okay, so all these posts, executive director, whole time director, and the chairman, they are appointed. Executive director, I'm sorry, is also uh, based upon your time left and whether you can be promoted from CGM to executive director or not based upon your performance. But normally, not many people are able to go up to executive director because इसमें time बहुत लग जाता है. So if you're 21 and you're able to clear the exam in first attempt, you're 22, very young, then the chances are high that you will go up to executive director. But if you're already 30 or let's say 28, 29, then it becomes very difficult for you to get promoted to ED. You normally retire somewhere out here. After that, these two, I and J, they are promoted. They are appointed by the government. They're not promoted. Okay. So having understood, I hope this is clear. Very basic hierarchy of SEBI so that we have an understanding of what is the layer like and how many levels can I go up to. That becomes important for some students. Let's have a look at average vacancies per year. Now, this is the data for 2020 to 2025. I tried to get data before that, but not very easy. The exam wasn't held in 2021 because of COVID. In 2020, we had 80 vacancies for general candidates, and the total vacancies were 123. Now, general candidates means general profile. After that, you have legal profile, Rajbhasha profile, IT profile, basically experts in certain areas. General profile is the most coveted because they have the freedom to move through different departments, and they are also the most in number. When they are the most in number and they also have the freedom to move interdepartmentally, it gives them a lot more opportunities to grow faster in the organization, within the organization. That is why they're the most powerful and they're the most coveted post. So out of 123, as you can see, the number of posts are also highest in general. General had 80 candidates, 80 seats, and 123 in total. In 2022, again, we had something very similar, 80 seats here and 117 seats in total. In 2023, again, we did not have the exam, only legal stream candidates were hired, a total of 25 seats there. In 2024, we had lesser number of seats, 62 and 97. But in 25, because there was no vacancy here, so they are filling it up right now. So 77 seats here and a total of 135 here. You can see here the number of vacancies other than general have also increased in this financial year because there was no hiring done here. That is why. And because the organization is also expanding, so they're also hiring more regularly. As you can see, the past trend has been, for whatever reason it might be, that they used to hire once and they would take a break of 1 year, and then they would hire again another year. But in the last 2 years, we have seen 2024 and 25 regular vacancies, 62 and 77. We are expecting something to continue as well in 2026. If that happens, it will also become a regular examination like RBI. That will give you more opportunities as well. Let's move to the exam cycle. Now, it is not as regular as various other exams. It has not been as regular, but this is something that gives you a little bit of idea about the possible date next financial year and also what has happened in the past. In 2020, it was announced in March. Then in 2022, it was announced in January. So total gap of 21 months, almost 2 years. In 2023, again the same time, gap of 12 months, but this time it was for legal stream. In 24, it was announced in April, so a gap of 14 months. And then, so this is the only time that where we have seen it coming out very regularly. In 2024, after a gap of 14 months, and then 2025, October 30th, gap of 18 months. If the same trend continues, then we can see something within the next 12 months also. Okay, so this is how SEBI exam has been regular, irregular, whatever you want to call it. This has been the performance when it comes to the date of notifications. Let's move to the levels of the exam. There are a total of 3 levels or 3 phases. Phase 1, which is completely qualifying in nature. What this means is whatever you do in phase 1, whatever your performance is in phase 1, it does not move towards creating your final merit. Let's say you're able to perform 90 out of 100, which means 90% marks, your rank 1 when it came to phase 1. It will not matter. Let's say your phase 2 performance is 70%, 70 out of 100 or 70%. You mess it up in the interview, your performance here is 50%. Okay, you might say, sir, I performed so well here. Why don't they include these marks? They won't. Your final merit is going to be dependent upon this and this. These two factors are going to come together and determine your merit, whether you get selected or not. So phase 1 is completely qualifying. In phase 1, there are 2 papers of a total of 200 marks. First paper is of 60 minutes, second paper is of 40 minutes. Paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1, you see 4 subjects: quant, reasoning, English, and general awareness. In paper 2, you see 6 subjects, and these are the 6 core subjects that continue from phase 1 to phase 2 to also the interview. In the interview also, you will see these people, interviewers, asking you questions from these areas only to a very large extent. That helps you make sure that you make the exam as predictable as possible if you're able to have command over these 6 subjects. Another good thing about SEBI exam is the weightage of general awareness is very, very low. So all the students who are scared of general awareness, number 1, and all the students who feel that general awareness is so unpredictable that despite preparing well, they are not able to clear the exam, especially civil services and RBI students who have been affected by general awareness to such a large extent. This is like a blessing for them, because if you're done with these 6 subjects, if you have good command over these 6 subjects, there is no chance that you will not be selected. आपका selection हो जाएगा अगर ये 6 subjects में आपकी command बहुत बढ़िया है तो. Okay. So paper 1, paper 2. Paper 1, 4 subjects. Paper 2, 6 subjects. This trend continues in phase 2. In phase 2 also you have 2 papers, 100 marks each. First paper you get 60 minutes, second paper you get 90 minutes. Paper 1 is of English, where they give you an essay, a précis, etc., and you have to write, you have to type the essay out there, you have to type the précis out there, you have to type the answers to reading comprehension out there. You get 60 minutes for this English paper. The second paper is again the same as in phase 1, exactly the same syllabus, no difference at all, only the level changes. It becomes a little more difficult more conceptual in phase 2. Numericals are also introduced to some extent in phase 2. That is it. No other change. Phase 3, if you qualify for phase 2 based upon your marks in these two papers, then comes phase 3 or the interview, which is of not of 75 marks. This is wrong here. This is of 15 marks. So this is very interesting. So less, it looks like a very small, weightage. Interviews of 15 marks, 20 to 30 minutes interview normally is held out there. Now, how the scoring is done for these two papers, it's a little complicated, so I don't want you to get into it. You don't even have to. At this point of time, you don't have to get into it. Okay. But understand that paper 2, phase 2 has two papers, English and the 6 subjects. Paper 1 is of English, paper 2 is of 6 subjects. Both of them are important enough, equally important. So don't ignore any of them if you are to prepare seriously for this examination. Let's have a look at the cutoff. This will give us a trend on where I need to be, how much do I need to score, how good or bad do I have to be if I want to clear this examination. In all the years, you will see phase 1 cutoff is the same, 40%. It is actually fixed. That is what makes this exam a little easier for students to at least clear phase 1, because the cutoff is fixed. You score more than 40% in both the papers, you're through. Okay, combined 40%, you're able to score more than that, you're through to phase 2. But interestingly, it also makes phase 2 more competitive, because you have more students coming from phase 1 to phase 2. Let's say this year, let's say 30,000 students sit for the exam. Out of these, 10,000 students are able to score more than 40%. 10,000, big number. All these 10,000 students advance to phase 2. If you compare it with other exams like RBI or civil services or other exams, you will not see such a high ratio of people advancing towards phase 2. Majority of the people are removed in phase 1 itself, but majority of the people in this exam are removed in phase 2. That also increases the competition and the cutoff in phase 2. Okay, having discussed that, let's have a look at the cutoff. You will see on an average the cutoff of phase 2 has been more than 60. Let us keep it at 70 if we want to clear the exam, because you can't be targeting 66.5. What if the cutoff next year is 66.6? You would have lost. Keep the cutoff as 70 in your mind. Okay. Final cutoff increases normally. Here also you see an increase. Here also you see an increase. Here also you see an increase. Why? Because students are able to perform extraordinarily in the interview. Although the weightage is only 15% and 15 marks, they're able to score 90%, 95% in the interview. When you do that as a percentage, your overall cutoff starts going up, because it's not a big jump from 66 to 69, just 3 marks jump, but it becomes substantial for students who are not able to perform so well in the interview. Okay, so the final cutoff revolves somewhere around 70. Now, if you want to clear the examination, you have to have some kind of a cushion also. So your personal target should be 80. If you're able to score a net of 80% in your mocks, in your preps, in your tests, then automatically you're doing well. If you're scoring anywhere below 80, then you need improvement. That is the cue that you can give yourself based upon the cutoff summary. Okay, let's move forward. Who all can write the examination? This is where a lot of students are eliminated also. If you are a lawyer or a person doing law, then, and if you have a bachelor's degree in law, or even if you are in the final semester of your law exam, you are eligible. So lawyers and students who are doing their law and in their final semester are eligible. BTech. Any person with any kind of BTech degree, or even in final semester of BTech, any specialization in BTech, any discipline, it has to be a 4-year BTech. It cannot be a 2-year, 3-year BTech, which does not exist, but you might be thinking about it. This is the limit. It has to be a 4-year BTech. Any discipline, any kind of BTech, doesn't matter to them, you're eligible. If you have a professional degree like CA, CFA, CWA, CMA, or any other professional degree recognized by UGC in India, you are eligible. This is where it gets a little difficult for some students. If you are a graduate, let's say MA Economics, let's say BSc in Maths, let's say BSc Physics, let's say BCom Honors, it doesn't matter. If you have just a graduation degree, you are not eligible. You need to have a master's degree. If you are doing law, which is also a graduation degree, you will be eligible. For lawyers, it doesn't apply. But for people having degrees other than BTech and other than law, if you are a graduate only, not eligible. You need to be a postgraduate. So any kind of post-graduation degree, even if you are in the final semester of post-graduation, you are held eligible. The good thing is there is no minimum percentage like various other exams, especially Reserve Bank of India exam. Minimum percentage is 60%, 55%, very high. A lot of students get eliminated there. No minimum percentage here. If you are passing at 33%, they don't care. You are eligible. Okay, that's a good thing. Let's look at the age eligibility. You need to be between 21 and 30 years of age. There is some age relaxation provided to some students. If you're an SC or an ST, 5 years. OBC, 3 years. PWBD, 10 years. Number of attempts, there is no limit. In Reserve Bank, there is a limit of 6. Maximum attempts for general candidates, there is no such limit here for anyone. Relaxation in number of attempts for unreserved candidates, for reserved candidates, for anyone and everyone, there is no limit. You sit at home, you start writing at 30, you keep writing, you start writing at 21, you keep writing till the age of 30, they don't care. They don't have any problem with you wasting 10 years of your life for this examination. Okay, let's move forward. Let's understand the difficulty level of the examination, and this is where my own interpretation, my own understanding of the examination is included. My understanding is of phase 1 is that it is an easy and predictable paper. And why do I say so? Because QRE is completely qualifying. Plus, along with qualifying, you need a minimum of 30% in QRE. When it comes to 6 subjects that I talked about, they're very dependent on the syllabus. There is no current affairs being asked here. And you need to score a minimum of 40% here. Combined together, you need to score a minimum of 40% here. Journal awareness, which has a very low weightage of 25 marks, which is 1/4 of this paper, paper 1. That is the weightage that journal awareness has. Only journal awareness is one unpredictable area, and because it does not have a lot of weightage, does not have a lot of questions being asked, it also becomes predictable to a large extent. If you do Spotlight kind of magazine, you are through with journal awareness. Any good banking monthly magazine, including Spotlight, which is available on my own website, they do the job. You don't have to go beyond it. Don't make a big deal out of journal awareness. When it is concerned about these 6 subjects, which ultimately determine your merit and your selection, they are heavily dependent on the syllabus. So it automatically makes it highly predictable. In fact, the entire examination becomes highly predictable just because of this one factor, that you do not have current affairs being asked in the examination to that extent. Majority of the exam is focused on the syllabus. Okay. Phase 2, you will see more competition. As I told you, in phase 1, there is no limit to how many students can qualify for phase 2. जितने भी लोगों ने 40% से ज़्यादा स्कोर कर लिया, वो सब क्वालिफाई हो जाते हैं. Because of this, you have a lot of people writing phase 2, automatically the competition increases. And because this year, let's say you're getting 40 days extra to prepare for phase 2. So in these 40 days, a lot of unserious candidates who were not so good at phase 1 become good in these 40 days by struggling, by working hard, by studying hard. And they are able to grab hold of that merit that originally belonged to you. That happens. I've seen that happen a lot of times. So the phase 2 exam is predictable, highly competitive, but it is of a moderate level. It is not an easy level exam anymore. Especially last year, SEBI changed its pattern, and in phase 2 now you have 100 questions being asked. Before that you used to have 50 questions. Now you have 100 questions. Because the number of questions have increased, so the breadth and depth of the exam has also increased. Now SEBI examiner has much more leeway, much more space to ask you different kinds of questions, and that makes the exam more difficult over a period of time. So it is moderate as of now, it can become in the difficult category also. The interview is predictable because you're preparing these 6 subjects and you're from finance background, or at least they expect you to know more about the finance stuff, and it is of a moderate level as well. It is not so easy. They want you to be good at what you're saying. You can't bluff, you can't go without preparing to the interview, but it is not so difficult. It is doable if you're prepared well. Okay, let's have a look at the syllabus in detail. There is quant reasoning English, as I said in phase 1. There is general awareness, which includes factual general awareness and financial general awareness. And then there are 6 subjects. What are these 6 subjects? Finance, management, economics. These 3 subjects overlap with a lot of other exams as well. And then there is accounts, costing, and companies act. Normally these subjects don't overlap with a lot of other exams. They are specific to SEBI. We will be talking about these subjects in detail as well. Don't worry about it. Okay. When it comes to phase 2, again, there are these same 6 subjects. There is economics, finance, management, there is accounts, costing, and companies act. Along with that, we have something called as English. Okay. In English, as I told you, they give you an essay, they give you a précis, they give you an RC, and they want you to type it out there. They want you to write it out there. Okay. Let's come to phase 1, detailed syllabus and the pattern. Paper 1, you have a total 80 questions. Paper 1 was what? Paper 1 was quant, reasoning, English, and general awareness. These 4 subjects, a total of 80 questions but 100 marks, which means that every question is of 1.25 marks and not 1 mark. And for every wrong answer that you give, this much marks is deducted, 0.3125. They've made it complicated for no logic at all. They could have just increased the number of questions to 100. I don't know why have they done it. Probably the examiner was tired by the time he made 80 questions, so he said, let's limit it to 80. I don't know what happened there, but this is how it is. The total time that you get is 60 minutes. There is no sectional timing, which means you can spend the entire 60 minutes on quant. They don't care. You can spend the entire 60 minutes on reasoning. They don't care. You have to just score a minimum of 30% in paper 1. That is all they want. Where does it come from? It doesn't matter to them. So 30% individually is the cutoff for phase 1, paper 1. But we have another paper in phase 1, which is called as paper 2. In paper 2, you have 50 questions of total 100 marks, which means every question is of 2 marks. So you do it correctly, you get 2. You do it incorrectly, you have deduction of 0.5, 25%. Okay. Total time is lesser than paper 1. Here it is 40 minutes that you get. There is no sectional timing. Everything is online. You need to score 40% minimum out of these 100 marks in paper 2. But there's another catch here. The catch here is paper 1 and paper 2 combined, you have to score a minimum of 40%. So let's say in paper 1, you were able to score 35, you've cleared it. In paper 2, you scored 44, you've cleared it. But when you combine these two, your percentage is less than 40 when you add both of them. So now you have not cleared it. Now you will not advance to phase 2. So in order to advance to phase 2, you need to fulfill all the 3 criteria. 30% minimum here, 40% minimum here, and 40% minimum combined. That is it. Looks complicated, pretty simple, because getting 40% is not a very difficult job, given that you're preparing seriously for the exam. The syllabus. Let's come to the syllabus of phase 1, paper 1. When we come to phase 1, paper 1, you have quant, reasoning, English, general awareness. General awareness is exactly the same as in various other exams. It's even lesser. Let me simplify it for you. You find any banking magazine online, banking current affairs magazine online, If you have no idea at all, there is a magazine goes by the name of Spotlight available on my website. In the current affairs icon, you will find it there. The name of my website, anujjindal.in. So you go to this Spotlight magazine. It's a big magazine, heavy magazine, about 150 pages per month. But you do this one magazine, it is enough for your general awareness needs. It has various sections. So there is national, there is international, there is defense, there is MOU, there are banking and economy, GDP. These are all different sections in the entire magazine. But you don't have to think about those sections right now. All you worry about is which magazine is good enough that I can start from. This magazine is decent enough. But this should not be your priority. Why? Only 25 marks in phase 1 and 20 questions. I don't think it's a priority for you to begin your prep. This should be done at last, not at the first. Okay, other than general awareness, there is quant, there is reasoning, and then there is English. English, very simple. Let's try and decode English for you. English, first part of English is reading comprehension. You're given a paragraph, you're asked some questions, you have to answer those questions. You have to mark the answers of those questions. These are all MCQs. Something that we've done in school and college as well. If you're prepared for an exam like CAT, you would know it. Other than reading comprehension, the entire paper is focused on your understanding of English. They don't want you to be Shashi Tharoor in English. They want you to be like Modi in English. You understand English decently enough, you will be qualifying for phase 2. You would be able to answer the questions. Fill in the blanks. Example, let me give you some examples. Fill in the blanks. They give you a sentence, there is a blank in between, you have to fill it, and they give you some options. Very simple. A mix of vocabulary and grammar. So when it comes to understanding of English is dependent upon your basic grammatical skills plus your basic vocab. Not very hi-fi Shashi Tharoor like vocab, basic vocab. If you understand the meaning of vocabulary, that means your vocabulary is decent. So you should be able to answer these questions. Okay. Understanding of English can be checked through various methods. Fill in the blanks is one method. Sentence rearrangement is one method where you're given a sentence, you have to rearrange it and make some sense of it. Word swap, you're given words and they're underlined and you have to swap it and figure out which swapping makes more sense. Error detection, you're given a sentence, you have to find out if there is an error in the sentence or not, whether grammatical, whether vocabulary based. Normally, error detection is more grammatical in nature. You have to find that grammatical error. So these are the different ways through which your understanding of English is checked in the examination. Very basic in nature. Then you have quant and reasoning. Quant and reasoning look very difficult. They are difficult for other exams, but when it comes to SEBI, they're comparatively easier. Okay. What happens in quant? Let's move with quant first. First of all, entire quants is limited to 10th standard. Whatever you studied till 10th standard, they only ask questions from there. They don't ask questions from integration, differentiation, and all those things from 11th and 12th. The only difference is that the level of questions keeps varying. Okay. The good thing about this exam, other than other exams, is that you will see that whenever you pick up any such topic out of these topics, you will see that majority of the questions are very basic in nature as are being asked in the examination. So what do? First of all, you focus on formulas. If your formulas are good, if you understand the formulas, then automatically it will be easier for you to answer. Second, you try and visualize. You try and develop the skill of visualizing. What it means is, let's say there is a question on percentage. Okay. Or let's make it even easier. Let's say there's a question on profit and loss. It's not mentioned here, it's on the next slide. Let's say there's a question on profit and loss. तो आप विजुअलाइज क्या करोगे? मैं बाहर गया मार्केट में, मैंने कुछ सामान खरीदने की कोशिश करी, मैं सब्जी वाले के पास गया, मैंने उससे सामान खरीदा एंड आई डोंट बाय इट फॉर माई सेल्फ, आई वांट टू सेल इट फर्दर. लेट्स से मैंने उससे अंडे खरीदे और मुझे अपनी ठेली लगानी है अंडे की, तो मैं प्रॉफिट मार्जिन ढूंढने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. लेट्स से मैंने 5 रुपये का एक अंडा खरीदा. फिर उसको मैंने अपनी ठेली लगाई और ठेली पे मैंने ये अंडे उबाले। उबालने के बाद आई ट्राई एंड फिगर आउट कि ये कितने का बेचूं कि ओवरऑल प्रॉफिट हो। दैट इज प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस. So the moment you start visualizing it and create a real example in your mind, it automatically becomes more interesting, less difficult for you to understand it, less difficult for you to decode it. The same applies in majority of the cases here. Majority of the uh, you know subjects, topics, you will see that you can visualize. Probably in quadratic, you can't visualize. To some extent in number system, number series, you can't visualize, but not much. Okay. So that is about quantitative aptitude. Then you have reasoning. Reasoning can be divided into two, three major parts. First, there is puzzle, which is considered the most important as well as the most difficult as well, because more number of questions come from puzzle, but it's difficult to answer puzzles as well. Then you have critical reasoning. Sometimes it is also called as verbal reasoning, and some people also put them separately. Verbal or critical reasoning is where English and reasoning come together. So you're given something in English and you have to answer it from a reasoning perspective. Not so difficult, pretty easy if you understand the basics. Then you have logical reasoning, which is the easiest part in reasoning, where visualization is the most easy for you to carry out. Okay. So these are the three major parts in reasoning. Very simple. If once you start going through all the subjects one by one, all the topics, sorry, one by one, you will realize that it's an easy area, easy nut to crack. You don't have to work too hard. You just have to read everything. That is all. You have to read everything, all the topics, and you have to practice them. That is it. You don't have to apply a lot of other mind. Let's come to the real deal. That is paper 2 syllabus. Now in paper 2, both phase 1 and phase 2, the syllabus stays exactly the same. For students who are from commerce background, you will realize that the syllabus is very, very similar to what you have read so far in your graduation, MBA, post-grad, etc., etc. For other students, it might look like Mandarin right now, like Chinese, difficult to understand, but let me try and make sense of it to you. Okay. When we look at commerce and accountancy syllabus, commerce and accounts can be divided into two, three major parts. First, there is the basics of accounting. Now, the syllabus does not say basics of accounting. It uses all kinds of fancy words, but they're ultimately basics of accounting. If you ever do accounting, you will realize that in accounting there is a process, very simple process. Whenever something happens, something financial happens, you enter it in the form of a journal entry. आपने उसकी एंट्री करी बेसिकली, उसको जर्नल बोल देते हैं, हाई फाई वर्ड है. देन you move them into another account which is called as a ledger, which basically means आपने एक दिन में 50 एंट्री करी, 50 ट्रांजेक्शन्स हुई अलग अलग फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजेक्शन्स इन योर कंपनी. Now you have to bunch them together, because if you keep looking at these 50-50 every day, by the end of the month you will have 50 into 30, 1500 transactions. You can't keep looking at them, it will be a mess, right? इतनी मोटी मोटी किताबें बन जाएंगी आपकी. You would not know what is happening in the company. So you try and club them together and make some sense of it. That is called as ledger. Then you move ahead, you create a trial balance, you do all sorts of things. You create a trial balance, and finally you create a profit and loss account, and you create a balance sheet, and they tell you the situation of your company. They help you understand the present financial situation of your company, profit and loss account and balance sheet. So the process moving from journal to balance sheet, everything that comes in between, that is called as basics of accounting. Nothing more than that. That is the most important element of your syllabus of commerce and accounts. 90% of the questions are coming from basics of accounts. Okay. Then you have all these sorts of things. And all of these are happening, are connected with the basics of accounting. For example, you have certain rules and regulations that you have to follow when you're going through this process. Understanding of these rules, it is being taught separately. For example, there is something called as cash flow statement. Whatever cash is flowing inside the organization or going out of the organization, a different accounting is done for that, because cash is important. Apna sapna money, money. If there is no money, there is no honey. So it's important to know how much cash do you have. Cash flow statement, you try and visualize separately, you try and account separately. Okay. Then the accounting differs for different kinds of companies. If you have a partnership, your accounting is going to be a little different. If you have a private company, your accounting is going to be different. If you have a bank, your accounting is going to be a little different. So for every kinds of entity, accounting differs by a certain account or amount, and you have to understand that there are rules for that. They are being taught here. That is all there is to accounting, not much. Okay. A very small part of accounting is for accounting for not for profit organizations. If there is a NPO, then how does it account as well? That is also taught separately. That is all there is to accounts. Let's come to management now. What happens in management? Okay. Management is very simple. Management can be divided into two major parts. There is organization behavior, something called as organization behavior. Three parts, in fact. There is principles of management. I will tell you the meanings of these, don't worry. Very simple. And the third is human resource management. What does it mean? What do these three mean? If you've ever worked in any organization, or if you keep watching YouTube and Instagram nowadays, you would know what happens in corporates. A lot of people are pissed at how they're being treated in corporates. A lot of people are happy how are they living life in corporates, especially if they're at the top management. A lot of people are satisfied by how they're working in government institutions. The behavior of individuals within the organization they're working in is nothing but organization behavior. So, a study of how individuals behave within organizations is called as organization behavior. Let's say I'm going to a company, and this company where I'm working, a lot of girls are hitting on me. Or I am a despo and I'm hitting on a lot of girls. Or I see somebody hitting on a lot of girls, he's making a fool out of himself. What kind of behavior is that as an individual? That kind of study is called as organization behavior. Very interesting, very, it helps you understand people better, makes you a better person as a result. So it's a very interesting study, not very difficult also. Then there is principles of management, which means how organizations deal with these individuals. That is called as principles of management. What kind of rules and regulations do organizations apply to deal with individuals and groups in organizations? For example, let me give you a very basic example. I create a principle saying that in my organization, every year in January, there will be a performance appraisal and also a performance measurement system followed by performance appraisal. That is a method I've created so that all the people in my organization are happy. All the people in my organization know what they're doing, how good or bad are they doing it. And as a result, I can also give them a just appraisal. Okay. That is what the study of principles of management. Last is human resource management. How the resources, human resources in the organization are managed. That is nothing but human resource management. Okay. I hope all of this makes sense. So this, whatever fancy stuff you see here, it's a combination of just these three: human resource management, organization behavior, and principles of management. Nothing else. Okay. Let's move to the next part. Then we have finance syllabus. So finance syllabus, as I was talking about management, finance syllabus is also pretty simple to understand. In finance, you understand Indian financial system, how the Indian financial system has been performing and what does it include. You try and learn about all the regulatory bodies, including SEBI, including RBI, including NABARD, including various other kinds of regulatory bodies. And you try and read a little about various kinds of financial tools that are being used in India's primary market, secondary market, capital market, money market, etc., etc. You also learn about basics of trading and investment. Now, the interesting part is that trading and investment is not given in the syllabus, but over the past 5-6 years, we have seen questions coming from trading and investment. So trading and investment also becomes a part of the syllabus indirectly. Okay, so this is what finance looks like. There's nothing more to it. It's very simple, syllabus. Once you start reading it, you will realize that it's very much doable now that you've understood the basics of it. Okay, let's move forward. Costing. Now, costing is one of the most difficult thought to be understood to be the most difficult part of or area of the entire syllabus. But costing can be divided into four major parts to have you understanding of costing. Now, if you're not from commerce background, what is costing? Accounting. When we started discussing accounting is about uh, any financial transaction that happens in your company. You create an account of it so that you know where is the money coming from and where is the money going. Any kind of monetary transaction, that is accounting. Costing is any kind of cost that you have, you create an account of it. Not revenues, you're only concerned about costs here. And through that accounting of costs, through that recording of costs, you try and reduce your costs wherever you feel that they're unnecessary, and you try and increase your costs where you feel that they're giving you higher rewards. The entire study of that is called as costing. It's very complicated once you get into the depth of it, but fortunately in the exam only the basics are asked. The first part is the basics of costing, where only a basic understanding of costing is required. The second part is called as methods of costing, various ways through which you can measure cost and you can record costs. That is called as method of costing. The third part is various methods of analyzing or predicting costs for the future. That is called as the cost control and cost analysis part. So you analyze the various kinds of costs. यहाँ पे तो रिकॉर्डिंग की है, उसके बाद उसका एनालिसिस भी करोगे. एनालिसिस नहीं करोगे तो क्या फ़ायदा रिकॉर्डिंग करने का. एंड फाइनली this is technically not a part of costing, but majority questions, unfortunately, fortunately, whatever you want to say, come from this area. These are ways through which you can reduce your cost by big amount. These are different technologies, different methods, different principles, different theories that have been created, and they've been successful in reducing your costs in organizations. So a study of all these different kinds of theories and methods is also a part of costing. That is all there is to costing, not much. Then you have Companies Act, the simplest of all. I recommend you to start with it and complete it as fast as possible when you're beginning with the prep. Is the simplest. Why? Because there's just one book that you need to take, or there's just one source that you need to use. The entire Companies Act. You go through the entire Companies Act. There is Company Secretary book on Companies Act. You go through the entire Companies Act, you're done. You don't have to do anything else. That makes your entire study of Companies Act very simple. Okay. So Companies Act is nothing but a revision of the original act which came at the time of independence. We revised it in 2013. In 2013, a new act came in which regulates whatever companies can do or cannot do. Okay. After that, we have economics. Economics is the last syllabus here. In other exams, you see questions coming from Indian economy, but not in this exam. In this exam, you will see questions not coming from Indian economy. Questions come either from macro economics or questions come from microeconomics. So you need to study macro and microeconomics both. Fortunately, they are both taught in 11th and 12th, so that is where you can start. You can pick up the books of 11th and 12th, micro and macroeconomics, read them. You would have a decent idea about what can be asked in the exam. Then you can look at the entire syllabus and cover the remaining topics. Okay. Okay, in phase 2, we also have English. We have already talked about English. You're given an essay, you're given a précis, you're given a reading comprehension. All you have to do is go through these three. You have to type it out. Once you've done that, you're done with the exam of English. There's not much. Okay. We are coming towards the end of our discussion on everything about SEBI. What about salary and perks? A lot of students are concerned about salary and perks. A lot of students are interested to know about the salary and perks. I personally feel that if you're trying to get into an organization like SEBI, don't be concerned about salary and perks. Don't give a shit about salary and perks. If you're through, you know for a fact that you will be taken care of. In fact, I often say that life in college and before college was the best for us. Why? Because we would get some pocket money. We knew this is all the money we have and we had to live with it. And we did live with it very well because all our focus was on spending. We did not have to worry about earning. Now life is difficult because we have to worry first about earning and then worry about spending as well. If you're working in this organization or similar organizations, it's like living with a pocket money. You know that you will get some money. All you have to worry about is spending now. You don't have to be concerned about earning any money. Money comes in. Okay. So that is the good thing. The basic pay is 62,500. Gross monthly salary, including various perks, is approximately 1.84 lakh. And annual pay, it comes out to 22 to 24 lakh. The various kinds of allowances are given, so you might not get this much amount in your account every month. Depends on what allowances you are claiming, what allowances you can't claim or you're not claiming. But anywhere above or near 1.5 lakh you get to have in your account, and that is good enough. Okay, let's come to the last one, roles and responsibilities. I will simplify it for you. You can take a screenshot and you can read all of this, but let me simplify it for you. SEBI is primarily concerned with stock markets, capital markets, IPO, one and the same thing. Stock market is a place where people, it's like a bank where people who have extra money, they park their money in the form of investment. So there are investors and then there are borrowers who are ready to pick that money. They're like eagles who are always looking for people to invest so that they can have that money. Now, where any place where these two kind of people are involved, where people who have more money want to give money, people who have no money want to have money, where these two kind of people are involved, automatically there are high chances of fraud. SEBI's objective is to minimize and then try to remove all kinds of frauds, all kinds of smart acts that can happen in the stock markets. That is what SEBI does. The biggest example is Sahara scam. If you don't know about it, read about it. You will understand the importance of SEBI. It was unearthed by SEBI as soon as Sahara went for an IPO. SEBI got hold of all its documents and SEBI got after Sahara and said, okay, now अब तुम अंटी में आ गए हो, अब हम तुम्हें सिखाएंगे, दिखाएंगे कि कैसे फ्रॉड किया जाता है और कैसे उससे पकड़ा जाता है. And SEBI was the only institution responsible for downfall, complete destruction of Sahara. And it was a complete scam that was being run for years and years. And it would have got even bigger had SEBI not come in. As soon as Sahara went for an IPO, SEBI got hold of, गला पकड़ लिया उसका, और जैसे ही गला पकड़ा उसकी जेब वेब में से सब निकाल लिया और फिर समझ में आया कि ये तो स्कैम चल रहा था. That is the power of SEBI as an organization. Okay. So that is all. अभी भी बहुत सारे IPOs चलते रहते हैं. जोमेटो है, जोमेटो तो काफ़ी टाइम हो गया. फिजिक्स वाला आया था, अभी बहुत सारे बोट बोल रहा था हम करेंगे. लेंस कार्ड आई डोंट नो किया है कि नहीं किया अभी तक. So lot of IPOs keep coming and going. As soon as they come for an IPO, they know you're coming under SEBI's watch. You have to be careful because once it gets hold of all your documents, it can actually make or break your entire organization as well. Okay, that is the power of SEBI. So it takes care of the fact that any organization, if it wants to go public, if it wants to have people's money, you better not be involved in any kind of fraud. That is one major activity. There are various other functions, but this I believe is good enough for you to understand what SEBI does and how you can also contribute if you get to work in an organization like this. Okay, that is all from my side. If you have any doubts, if you want to ask something, if you feel that you wanted to know something else and I did not discuss it out here, you can very well put it down in the comment section below. I will try and answer it as soon as possible. Keep studying hard. All the best. Bye-bye.